What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to AFS, America's Finest Sports. It's Monday. We've got Matt. We have myself, aka Makana. And we're going to be talking about some overall NFL stuff. And we're going to start off talking about Matthew Stafford. You know, technically he's in LA, but, relatively close to San Diego. And we're going to be talking about how there's some serious concerns for the Rams right now. And I'm not talking about like, oh, he may miss a few weeks. Like baseball level, Tommy John potential implications for Matthew Stafford. Then we're going to be getting into some quarterback and talking about potential, like it's their make or break year and what they need to do to kind of solidify themselves, whether it's in their offense or just in the NFL as a whole. And then finally talking about McCorkle and the offense of the New England Patriots because there's a lot of things going on right now, and we're going to be talking about all of that. But then obviously throughout the week we'll be also hosting a couple of different shows. I'll be doing basketball. Matt will be doing be working with Friar Talk. We're going to have a lot of stuff out. The schedule will be posted at some point this week. So stay tuned for all of that information. But Matt, why don't you start us off? Let's talk about Matthew Stafford. What is the deal going on right now?
So I think that's a big thing with Matthew Stafford is that we don't exactly know what the case is in Los Angeles. Sean McVay had a press conference and kind of sounded a little bit concerned about it just because he's like, yeah, this isn't something you typically see in a quarterback. It's a baseball injury, and he specifically said baseball, and we also know that it's an elbow injury. Basically, I think it's tendonitis or soreness in his arm. So what they're doing is they're resting Matthew Stafford, and he's not playing nearly as much as he usually would in training camp. Now that side of it could care less if Matthew Stafford's getting reps in camp. He's going to be completely fine. He's a veteran. He's been in the system for a little bit now. But the big concern is his arm going to snap? Not snap, but is he going to have to get Tommy John surgery? Because if he gets Tommy John surgery, that probably means his career is going to be done. That's like an 18th month recovery. And it wouldn't at his age now, it wouldn't make much sense for him to try to make that recovery. This would be maybe the biggest impact out of all of the injuries so far that we've heard about in the NFL, because Matthew Stafford and the Rams are legit Super Bowl contenders, obviously coming off the Super Bowl championship, but this year they're still stacked. It's they're trying to get another championship. They have a couple years where Stafford's going to be there. This could be so detrimental to where that franchise is trying to go. And yes, they got the Super Bowl win last year, but they're trying to win 2 or 3. And they have the star caliber players to do that. Now, if Matthew Stafford was to go down, I have no idea what the Rams would do. Basically, the only guy that's kind of on the market is Jimmy G, and that doesn't really make any sense. So this would be a potential disaster for the Los Angeles Rams. Now, it's kind of hard to tell how serious it is. I think the best thing that fan bases can do, fans can do, is basically monitor the situation. How much is he playing? Is this something where it's looking like he's definitely going to be gone? Because if there's no Matthew Stafford this season, the Rams are not going to be good. I think who's their backup right now? Like Wolford, or I don't even know who their backup quarterback is. But not a guy you're going to win many games with. So this is potentially a massive injury, and would be probably the biggest blow of the whole NFL season. So very, very scary stuff right here for the Rams and Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, and adding on to the implications is Aaron Donald was not just considering retirement. I think he was leaning retirement after last season. And they were able to convince him, come back. We can run this back, right? We have all of our guys. The guys that won the Super Bowl, right? Ramsey locked up. Cooper Kupp. Matthew Stafford. You are all top 10 players at your position, all right? I would say top 5, but Stafford I don't think is in the top 5. And Stafford and Kupp may not be top 5.
I guess that's fair. I was thinking that's higher than that.
Yeah. But you've got the best player in the NFL, Aaron Donald. You've got the best cornerback in the NFL, the best secondary piece in the NFL, arguably the second best defensive player in the NFL in Jalen Ramsey. You have a roster that can compete. This team, they don't have draft picks. So not competing hurts them. So it's not like they can go, if Stafford misses the year, if he does have Tommy John, or he does have to do something where he can't play because of this injury in his elbow, the Rams are screwed, which means they have to go all in, which means they have to find a new quarterback. And there are players available, but it would be drastic. Because Matthew Stafford, the thing about Stafford is you know what you're going to get. Rocket arm, clutch, and a playmaker. Those are all things that you need when you're trying to win the Super Bowl. Consistent and clutch. The players available right now, I'll say outside of Jimmy Garoppolo, are very unproven. When it comes to postseason success and trying to build up to that, right? You can trade for a guy like Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield, whoever doesn't, end up becoming the starter. But like overall, they would have to go all in because otherwise it doesn't matter. Like, oh, you don't have a first round pick. I don't know when their next first round pick is. It's probably in 2038. Like, I swear, they trade every first round pick because they have the superstars. If they lose their main superstar, it's going to be too difficult to replace. And there's a chance that Donald retires after this year because he's like, never mind. We can't win. Heck, he may retire in training camp if they say, oh, Stafford's got to go out for the year. He may be like, nah, sorry, I'm not playing. I played a lot of my career with, Sam Bradford. We had Jared Goff. He's like, I'm done. Like, I needed a quarterback.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one. I mean, and we look at this injury, we look at this Rams team, and with a healthy Matthew Stafford, and that's been the thing too, is like Stafford hasn't been healthy throughout his career, so there's also that aspect of like, is this being overblown a little bit? It absolutely could be, and that's for the Rams' sake. That's what they're hoping for. But he's a guy that has played throughout a lot of back injuries, a lot of different stuff. He's a guy that I'm going to say this, is a potential Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't know if he's quite there yet, but I definitely think that he's someone that kind of gets forgotten about when you talk about that. But you look at his numbers, you look at his career, you look at how clutch of a player he's been. He is one of the clutchest players, one of the clutchest quarterbacks ever. So losing him, I mean, for the league is massive, but the Rams, if they have him, are, I would say, probably the favorites in the NFC. I know you can toss the Bucs in there too, but it's kind of those two teams, and they could very likely be, Super Bowl champs again. Like, they're that good of a team. So this is something where it's like early training camp. This is probably as scary as it gets. Just like, yeah, we're going to try to monitor this situation. We're going to be careful about it, but we can't really we don't really know how it's going to play out, because hearing Sean McVay talk about it was pretty concerning, just because he's like, yeah, there's a lot of unknowns. We're resting him. We're just going to kind of see how it goes, which is not usually what you want to do with your franchise quarterback, and especially in a year where you're trying to win the Super Bowl. So that's probably all I got on Stafford. Not a ton, but just something that I wanted to bring up just because it has major implications if he does end up missing some time.
Absolutely. I mean, he's just someone that has always been consistent in terms of if he can play, he will play. And when you're looking at trying to build out this team and you're looking at Sean McVay's perspective, he didn't go out there and say, okay, we're not that concerned right now. We're still trying to figure out exactly what it is. Like, for example, John Harbaugh talked about Tyler Linderbaum because there were reports coming out where people were saying, oh, he has Liz Frank. And, that's a significant thing. And John Harbaugh's like, it's not Liz Frank. We don't know exactly what it is, but it's not that. We're not overly concerned about it. That's not what they're saying about Matthew Stafford. They're going out there and they're like, okay, we're getting a second opinion, which typically means you don't really like the first person's, diagnosis, because if you like it, you're not going to hear someone else. If someone tells you did a great job, but if someone tells you, you're not that hurt, you're not going to another doctor, because they may say, no, it's really bad, you need surgery. It's going to be rough. This is definitely something to monitor. If you're a Rams fan or if you're just a football fan in general, maybe you're a 49ers fan like Matt. That leaves the NFC West wide open if there's no Matthew Stafford. So it's definitely something to keep an eye out on. We wanted to talk about it because it seems like it's not getting any media attention. Like, instead, people want to talk about, Trayvon Diggs has deleted his Twitter account because he was getting burnt by NFL legend and college football hero Simi Fehoko. Like, bro, I'm done hearing about Trayvon Diggs deleting his Twitter. Talk about Stafford may end up missing the season.